What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Wars Exchange Live. It's been a few years since we've done one of these, so it's great to be here. Of course, I've got Mike with me and Parks. We're reigniting the old tradition of bringing him on for the season finales of these shows. So let's just get straight into this. Maul, Shadow Lord, the finale. It was awesome. We all know. Parks, give us a quick little rundown of how you felt about Maul, Shadow Lord so far, and then jump straight into your thoughts on these final two episodes. The floor is yours.
Absolutely, Ari. Also, hi guys. Thank you for having me back. It's been so long since we've done a live, and I'm very happy to be on here. Maul Shadow Lord. I've been a little critical of Star Wars animation, I think, in the last couple of years. At least I feel like I've been a little critical. And Maul Shadow Lord was definitely excited by the premise of this show, but definitely had some trepidation going in of like, is this going to be good? Is this going to be good as I hope it is? And I'm happy to say not only was it as good as I was hoping it was going to be, it was even better. And I think thinking about these last two episodes, we hit some phenomenal heights, I think, with Maul Shadow Lord. And I walk out of this series and walk out of the show going, that is some of the best Star Wars I think I've ever seen.
Wow.
What a fantastic, brilliant, mesmerizing, impressive show. And I cannot wait to talk so much more about the show in these two episodes here with all y'all.
Absolutely. Well, Parks, welcome back to the program. Long time no see. And yeah, I just want to mention here, we have Craig watching. He says, "Sup guys, on night shift, but glad to catch you guys live for once." Well, Greg, we're happy to have you, and we're happy to be talking about Maul Shadow Lord.
Good to see you, Craig. Well, let's talk about these final two episodes then, because boy, oh boy, did they over deliver? I'd almost say there was non-stop action. Just there's so much to unpack. But Parks, we'll throw to you again. Give us your overall thoughts on these final episodes, and then Mike, you take it away after that.
Absolutely. I mean, going into these last two episodes, I think for me, the enjoyment level of this show has just was rising every single week, where it's just like that duel was somehow more insane than last week. And oh my God, the duel this week was somehow even more insane than last week. And we were just hitting constant highs, episode after episode, that going into these last two, it's like, okay, like what do they got left in their pocket? And oh my God. First off, episode 9. I mean, episode 10 is going to be the absolute talk of the town, as it should be, for a moment we'll get into here in a second. But episode 9, I mean, there is some amazing action in this episode, as Maul and his forces teamed up with Brander Lawson and some of the refugees here on Janix to escape Janix. And I mean, there's a moment that's been going around on socials that I think just epitomizes what is so awesome about this episode, of just like a moment where the Inquisitors, the Jedi, and Maul, their sabers all like clash at the same time. And I'm just like, that's what this show is. It is just like artistically controlled like chaos. And it's intense and it's beautiful and it's thrilling. And so you come out of that episode with that kind of high, while also seeing many characters die, like Spybot. It's like we don't kill droids very often in Star Wars. It feels like, unless they're battle droids. But Spybot, man, I was like surprisingly gutted by that. Surprisingly gutted by. I mean, I'm we're gonna probably dive deeper into all these things, but which one was it? One of the Zabrak brothers, the way he died, absolute homie, just absolute full
Icarus,
send
I
on that.
believe.
Icarus, and yeah, and just the way we all set up there for the end with Rook Cast just getting completely, that was insane. And then of course,
snap in the woods.
Oh my God,
is that what it was? That's just what I assumed.
It sounded like a force choke, yeah. For then to just Darth Vader show up, and episode 10 then is basically a horror movie. It's just Vader wailing on the Jedi, and man, episode 10, I mean, it's absolute cinema. We're gonna get into all the specifics, so it's not even worth just going through the play-by-play in my mind right now, other than they just nailed it so hard. This is the best finale of any Star Wars animated project, hands down, I think.
Whoa, Siege of Mandalore.
Yes. Yeah. No, better
Whoa,
than that.
whoa,
In one single episode, yes, absolutely.
All right, Mike, give us your thoughts.
Okay, wow. Okay, he was cut. He was cut for his take there. Listen, I'm gonna be honest. When I initially watched it, I was just kind of, I don't want to say underwhelmed, but I felt like a lot of people were overhyping it up, and I feel like a lot of it was because of Vader, and I felt like there were a lot of things that I didn't feel not necessarily like tied up, but I felt like I really wanted some type of maybe conclusion on, because it definitely felt like we were in the chase. Like it really felt that we were Maul and Devin were being chased out of season 1, and they were going into season 2's plot with Crimson Dawn and everything. It literally felt that way. But the more I thought about it, I was like, wait, no, that was a clever finale. And I mean, and I thought about it. I'm like, whenever Vader gets involved is when things hit the ceiling. You know, it's like that's when things hit the fan. It's like, okay, like you know, people are gonna die. You know, people are gonna get murked. You know,
Like Jedi Survivor, for instance, when he shows
right
up there.
Jedi's Survivor, Fallen Order. Well, really, Fallen Order was just kind of at the end, and well, who died? The second sister, Trilla.
Oh, true.
But yeah, then Survivor, when he appeared in Rebels and Twilight of the Apprentice, when he got involved in the fight. I mean, look at what happened. Things really hit the fan there. Okay, Ahsoka ended up being kind of just taken out away from the conflict, and with Maul turning, which, by the way, I've never been more icked and gutted by what Maul did.
Oh,
I was like, oh my! This like overtook him
SOB.
blinding Kanan, which says a lot. When he blinded Kanan, I think the whole world was like, oh. But this was just awful. I had, for the rest of the episode, I had a sick feeling in my stomach that I was just like, this is not gonna settle. I'm gonna need to go to Burger King for that Mando bounty bundle to settle it down.
not me, bro.
Not an ad. But I was
the opposite.
I was so sick. I was like, dude, that was awful. Just when you gain enough of Maul's trust a little bit, I just felt like Ezra, where I just felt so betrayed. I was like, dude, that was awful. But yeah, so overall, this finale was just, I want to say it was kick ass. The Inquisitors were kick ass. The lightsaber action was amazing. And yeah, I got to say, it was such a spectacular, epic finale. Not my favorite finale, because I agree with Ari. Siege of Mandalore is up there. Twilight of the Apprentice is up there. But
I got more to say, but
this was epic. This was epic. And the Vader said nothing. Vader said nothing at all.
Amazing choice.
And he was just so damn frightening.
Here.
Yeah.
Horror movie describes a single
line. He didn't say a single line, is that right?
Yeah, he didn't say a single word.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. No, unbelievable. And I mean, I can't add much because you guys covered it all. Yep, I have the same reaction. It was awesome. It was amazing. This whole show was like, I don't know the exact right way to say this, but people talk about, Andor, where it's like, oh, it's just a great show. Like it has nothing to do with Star Wars. And I kind of push back on that because I'm like, well, I think that about most Star Wars things, that it's just a great movie or it's just a great show. It doesn't matter that it's Star Wars. But this is that same reaction to Andor, where it's like, this is just an awesome show. Like anyone could just sit down and like my mum could probably watch this show and think it's cool without, knowing really anything that's going on. So, and that really says a lot. And yeah, Shane, absolutely crazy to think Vader's only 24 years old. That's something cool to think about for sure. But I want to talk about what Mike just touched on there, because that was the moment in the episode that really turned the way I felt, where I was having such a great time rooting for Maul, rooting for these characters. It was just the coolest team up ever, you know what I mean? And seeing the way that our good guys and our bad guys were interacting, and the clash of their ideologies, but they were still teaming up regardless. Together. It was just so cool to see. And then I actually still don't know how I feel about them doing this on multiple levels. I've kind of written out a pros and cons list almost. On the more pro side, like the reason I like this is I'm like, okay, this just shows like classic Maul giving into his fear. He doesn't know any better. This is just, he's going to repeat the same cycle over and over again because he's just living in the dark side. This is what he does. He can only think about himself. And they're sort of teaching us that lesson in a way. And like, he's never going to change. But if he had on the other side, if he the best, the times when they were the best position fighting Vader was when they were working together, and they were actually doing a good job. You know, Darky got a few hits in, and I'm not saying they would have won that fight, but they would have come a lot closer than, you know, Maul choosing what he did. So I thought that was like that's on the plus. I'm like, okay, I like what they're saying there. But then on the other side, it's like I said, I was just loving rooting for them so much. And now it's like, okay, it's just impossible to root for Maul anymore. Like Mike said, I was just shattered when he did that. Because I was like, he's just ruined it. Like, not that it was justified in any of the horrible things he did in Clone Wars or anything like that. But it's like, okay, I was still rooting for him regardless, because he was like almost the lesser of two evils in that sense. He's still evil as, don't get me wrong. But in that moment, he was the lesser of two evils, defending the Jedi, all that sort of stuff. And then the other thing that I kind of feel a certain way about is like, is Devin just going to be like operating under false pretenses for the entire next season? Like, I kind of wish it, you know, we saw, okay, anyone can turn to the dark side. It didn't need to be manipulated. You know what I mean? She could have just fallen, like Darky could have died anyway, and she would have fallen anyway. Maul didn't need to manipulate. I would have preferred that lesson where it's like anyone can fall to the dark side, even with good intentions. So I'm kind of frustrated that the whole next season, I don't think they're going to address it for ages, that Maul pushed Darky into Vader. So I don't know, boys, what are your thoughts on all that?
I got a ton of thoughts if I can go first, Mike.
Go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think here. Let me pick on the last thing you just said about Devin and the dark side. I mean, the thing is, though, I mean, there's not many dark side users in Star Wars who got there without being manipulated. And I think that's the key thing. Is if you really consciously thought about the pros and cons of, you know, borrow what you were saying there, of the ideology itself, the ideology of the dark side, I think any logical person with like a good support system would go, oh yeah, like this system's full of holes. Like it's self-serving, but it pushes out everyone around you over time if you really game it out. The only way it could ever appeal to you is if you learn to, if you're tricked into it, and then learn to embrace it through selfish means. And once you're in, you know, once you got your first fix, you're hooked. And I think that's the key thing here. And that's what Maul's been kind of struggling with this entire season. He's been slowly opening Devin up to it, sure, but all the while he was never going to be able to do it unless he could compel her in that way, obviously with a death about someone she cares about, you know.
But you're telling me, like, if Maul and Darky were fighting Vader happens to kill Darky, it would have been the same result, right? Like, Maul didn't need to step in.
Yes. No, that's correct. But up to that moment, Maul was fighting with Darky. So no matter what, Maul would have had to remove himself from the situation. And no matter what his reason for doing that would have been, well, yes, what you're saying is correct. But, well, what I'm trying to say is, no matter how Maul removes himself from that fight, it is manipulating Devin, no matter what, by leaving Darky to fight for himself.
You're right in saying as well, after it, like the real manipulation is going to come afterwards, where it's like, instead of being like, let's process this, it's going to be like, let's get revenge. You know what I mean? And so,
I mean, what you guys are saying then about just the ick, that gut feeling of like, that was awful, I think just proves that we read it as manipulation, that we're just like that was so unfair, so undirty. And that leads the second thing here that I want to pick on from what you said, which was, I don't know how I could root for Maul again. I strongly believe we're going to find ourselves rooting for him down the road, only because we have been down this before, you know, time and time again. And this is the brilliance of the writing of this show and just the Maul character and the way they've done it over the entire Star Wars animation project, is that he has a silver tongue, such a sharp silver tongue that is so able to persuade not just the characters in the show, but the audience. And there are times where you root for him and you kind of believe him. And in this show, we know where it all ends up for him. We know how many people he's tricked, killed. I mean, this guy destroyed the Mandalorian civilization. Like, it was already on the brink of collapse, but he went, oops, all right, I've screwed over your culture for the next 3 decades. You know, like, he's an awful person. Yet we still find ourselves rooting for him. And I think that's what, like, that is something that's interesting to think about. I thought this show really did a great job of exploring why that is, how that is, the ambiguity of his motives, that he is awful, he's evil, he's selfish deep down. Yet when you really take a grand step back, like what he wants to do would be a net good for the galaxy. If you remove Sidious, it's great. So Maul really is just like an exploration, an extreme exploration of the ends justify the means. And so what we're really going on in the show, the journey we're going on as an audience is going like, when do I draw the line? For when can I stop justifying the means? So I think that was a great thing that they had to do in the show. I don't think they could have ended the season with us still completely rooting for him, but I can't wait to see him get back to that, because ultimately I kind of support what Maul's doing. If I can go on one more mini tangent here. I know I've had the talking stick for a while, so I apologize. But one of my favorite books I've ever read is The Count of Monte Cristo, which it's a revenge novel about this guy who's framed, put in jail, but then gets out and basically builds this fortune for himself, this mini empire, essentially, all to take this one guy down. And I think what they're doing with Maul here, I mean, we know this from the backstory of the years of like Solo, he rules the criminal empire and stuff. But what we're really doing here, I love the way we reframed it as Maul is building a criminal empire to take down Sidious. And I think that is so awesome and cool. And obviously, I don't love the person running it, but it's like he's better than Sidious. And that's just a fascinating place to put us as an audience rooting for Star Wars characters. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Mike, give us your thoughts on all that was just discussed.
Yeah, I agree. No, I don't know. I feel like I'm with Ari here in terms of being conflicted, because I feel like the part of me not being immediately satisfied with the finale was that it felt like we were being set up, that we knew that Mr. Dooku Daki was gonna die somehow through either the Inquisitors, but then it was like very evident where it's like, oh, you know what, the Inquisitors couldn't get it done, it's gonna be Vader, and that's gonna even push the envelope more, where Maul hates Vader because Vader is his replacement. Vader is who he should have been, and then Devin lost her master through Vader. I think that would have just been enough. But instead, then we have that just small moment, but such an impactful moment. Like Ari was saying, is this going to be dragged out the next season, where he force pushes Daki into Vader? And it just, when I was feeling that momentum where Daki was like, this is how we can take Vader down together. And I was like,
and it was working as well.
This is going great. We're working. You saw Daki by himself was able to land some hits on Vader. And it's like, Vader was just one arming this, like he was just one handing fighting them, but it's not even, I wouldn't even consider this like prime Vader yet, because I feel like Vader's just adjusting to his,
he's getting used to his robot legs
and his his fighting style and everything. So I definitely saw kind of Anakin's style in his fighting and a lot of these scenes where I'm like, oh my God, that was just like Anakin would have done from Clone Wars. But anyway, so that small Maul moment just really like, and the only reason I'm wearing the shirt is because it was on sale. I mean, I want to do this for the after show for Shadow Lord, but after what he did, I was like, I don't want to wear anything Maul. I'm like so anti-Maul right now. So I just feel like I'm conflicted, because it felt like the show was pushing us, but I think maybe that's part of the genius writing, right? Like it shows us the type of character that Maul is. It's like he is hungry and he is thirsty, and he's going to get he's going to get to the side that he wants, no matter what means. He's going to do everything that he can to get the outcome he wants. So, I mean, yeah, it was manipulation all along, but then with this instance where it's like, you abandoning Daki there and causing his death, really, I mean, it's going to, it kind of almost is a way out for Devin, where it's like, I feel like Devin's going to commit to Maul's teachings and using the dark side, kind of how Ezra did in Rebels. But I think Devin's going to go a little bit further. But I feel like the way out of her fellowship under Maul, or apprenticeship, is going to be her finding out that it was, Maul. Maybe it's a fight with Vader, that Devin is fighting Vader, and Vader reveals like, Maul abandoned your master he's the one that pushed him towards me. I don't know, that it's kind of almost a way out for Devin as well.
I kind
later
of
on.
wish that wasn't the way out for her.
No,
though.
100%.
I wish the way out was like, Maul, holy crap, I've just realized you're a terrible person. I cannot be around you.
Yeah.
The way out can be, oh no, you did that to me.
I agree.
But
that's assuming they even do that. They don't have to
for
do
sure,
that.
for sure.
But if they don't do that, I'd be annoyed. Like if this is never addressed, that like this is how Devin ended up turning to the dark side.
Well,
It's
why
like,
would it be annoying? Maul's not a good guy.
Maul sort of could have sympathized with Devin, being like, you know, Vader is like, you know, the hand of Sidious, and Sidious did this to me when he ripped me away from my brother. Like, we're both traumatized from this. But it's like, no, you can't say that because you were a part of it. Like, I don't know. It's
but that's the thing.
I can see both sides of this. I like it on one hand and I don't like it on the other.
No, absolutely.
No, but I just think from a storytelling standpoint, it's going to make things a little frustrating in season 2 when we're like, Devin, like if we could just speak to her and be like, hey, like Maul pushed Darky into Vader, she'd be like, okay, I'm done. Whereas if that didn't happen, you could just like, she would be like, no, I'm justified in this. This is fair enough. Like there would be no talking her out of it, but there is talking her out of it now because of this.
I don't even know though, because like there's talking her out of an alliance with Maul. That is true. But again, the dark side, once you begin down that dark path, forever will dominate your destiny. There's a good chance that however far down the road, if she ever learns the truth, it doesn't change. It'll turn her against Maul, which honestly, I hope happens. Like I'm very firmly in that camp that like wherever, I think this show ends with that relationship ending. I think we're seeing the beginning of a master apprentice relationship that's going to go through however many seasons they want to do of this show. But I think no matter what, you have to end it with her betraying him, which somehow leads to him on Malachor maybe or something. It depends on how far through this we go. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean that she'll change her convictions of the dark side. Maybe now she was already kind of, you know, butting up against the Jedi way from the very first episode with the whole like fruit arrest thing. Or getting arrested for stealing the fruit. Yeah, no, I absolutely see what you guys are talking about, but I don't know. I just think that is too juicy of a bomb to sit on for however long they want to drag this out, because I just think it makes their dynamic much more interesting to just have like to put it this way. Maul, what's great about Maul is just that he's a character of contradictions, just like we in the real world are. We're all full of contradictions. And what has been interesting throughout this show is how often he's been like, and it's the same with Ahsoka. Unlike Sidious, he's been like, I'm not going to force you to do this. Join me. Even though he's being very heavy-handed about it, you know, being like, I'm going to lock you in a chamber and you're going to have to figure a way out. I'm going to create a whole, you know, puzzle room for you to figure out, an escape room for you to figure out, and then you'll see the dark side. So he's been very heavy-handed about it, but he's always been, I'm not going to force him this. Here's your choice. I think what is awesome, what is, again, the turn of great writing here at the end is that ultimately, again, being a man of contradictions, he inevitably does the thing Sidious does, manipulates her into embracing it. And I just think, again, you talk about this character never learning, you talk about this character just being a victim of this cycle of abuse and, you know, kind of recreating on other people. I think that is a critical part of this, that he inevitably does it in another person.
Yeah.
Despite however he tried to do it before.
I get that. And I think that's why I'm really in two minds about this. Part of me loves it. Part of me hates it. But you talked about this makes the dynamic more interesting. I disagree. I think it would be more interesting if this didn't happen and Devin just genuinely was relating to Maul without Maul manipulating that. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, and we could get, you know, I think we will get there. Like, there's so much more to this, I think, where to explore that relationship and how it's going to work. We have such a short look at it now. You know, I mean, maybe the way they've been writing it, I think there's a way of looking at it where what she's saying, like that Devin has been conflicted in the way of like, I know what I'm supposed to do, but I know what I really believe in. And this could be that moment where she is going to admit that. But that's you know, maybe that's something we pull at more in future seasons. Yeah, no, for sure. Anyway, that was a great talking point. I couldn't wait to hear both of your
Great
thoughts on that,
conversation.
so,
Yeah.
no, that was a good one.
I felt like Master Mundy right there. I felt like Master Mundy on the Jedi Council. I just felt like useless.
But what about
and
the death of
speechless.
Spybot?
Yeah.
Well, that's gonna lead me into this next talking point, because Parks, you mentioned it at the start, but man, we lost some characters this episode, and
A lot.
I think that just shows how great the story building, the character development has been, because every death I felt, Parks, you said it at the start, Spybot, I had an audible reaction. I was just watching by myself in a room. I was like, I couldn't believe. And then Maul's reaction makes it hit even harder. Icarus, I'm pretty sure, is the name. Man, they went out in a blaze of glory. That was an absolutely awesome death. But even that, I felt that because the pain that we felt from when the last brother died. So, and then Rook, I honestly didn't feel as much. And then Darky, man, Darky, you are a legendary Star Wars character. What an awesome character, and couldn't have gone out in a better way. I'm so glad they waited this long, because I just thought it would happen in the first few episodes. So glad they waited this long. And then Lawson, let's be real, he ain't.
Oh
dead.
man,
he ain't.
Exactly.
There's no way.
Exactly.
So, Mike, what are your thoughts on all the deaths? Which one do you want to talk about? Lawson, is he dead or not? What do we think?
I think Lawson hit me the most, because I just love that character.
Yeah.
And there were so many scenes, because I've talked about this on the show before, but the voice actor Wagner
Mora.
Wagner Mora. He is in one of my most beloved movies ever, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and he plays the big bad wolf in it, or Death. Really, he plays the character of Death. But I saw a lot of those of the action scenes from that movie in here, where I was just like, they were so eloquent, and I think you said it earlier, where it was like artistically directed, or you said some verbiage like that I was like, yes, like 100%. I felt like, or artistically driven. I think that's the phrase you used. But I mean, a lot of the fight scenes were just incredible, if not all of them. But so yeah, I mean, again, Vader gets involved, and then we start losing a lot of people. But so I was most upset about Lawson's character, because I was like, no, when he started saying like Riley, or he was like, Two Boots, please make me or promise me you'll deliver Riley to his mother. I'm just like, man, it was Twilight of the Apprentice all over again. Once we get on board the ship and we see Riley down crying, I'm like, yep, that was like Ezra.
Oh yeah, great point.
Yeah, it just felt like we were back in
real.
Twilight of the Apprentice of Rebels, just like everybody on the ship
Man.
in a different section being like, what the hell just happened?
We lost so many people. Like, that's all the survivors of this on the ship at the end. There's only 4 of them. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But Mike, there's no way you actually think Lawson is
no, I don't.
Right?
There's a
What's
moment
the thought
that,
when he was about to sacrifice himself?
yeah, so I mean,
Sorry,
I thought it was like, no, you're good. I thought he was gonna sacrifice himself there, but I felt like because of the fog and the way he went down, I remember. I've only seen it once, but I remember he got shot maybe on the right shoulder or something, and then I saw another shot. But then I was like, I don't know, the way they left that, and we didn't see a body. Say it was. I think Rook is dead, because that was Vader. It's like no way Vader.
I mean, this show is based off a character that got chopped in half 10 years ago or whatever.
Absolutely, like anything's possible here. But I think Lawson will make a return. I hope so. I think I've been loving his character honestly the most on this show.
He's the GOAT.
Yeah, I've been loving his character the most, and I also love just the voice acting that comes from him. So I've been making jokes every week, like me trying to imitate him, because it's so distinct and lovely. So, but the other deaths, I mean, yeah, we saw. I mean, if any death that we were ever, I don't want to say campaigning for, but we were just like, we were waiting for, was Mr. Dikodaki, whatever his name is, Master Daki. It was just like, oh my god, like when is this guy gonna bite it? Because it was so foreseeable, and we thought it was gonna be the Inquisitors. When the Inquisitors were chasing after them in episode 3 and 4, we're like, yep, or whatever episodes it was, we're like, yep, he's gonna die here, and it was like, no, it was just a gentle tease, and it's like, yeah, I'm, the way he went out, I mean, utter like, just, yeah, it was just, for me, I was just like, man, that it was just like an old guy dying. It's like you feel so bad, and this dude gave it his all, and I mean, he was just he really tactical about everything, and he was so still so centered in the way he did things. And I mean, yeah, I think this is like, I think I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say he's one of the best Jedi we've ever encountered. Like, oh my god, like I want to see what this guy was like.
I'm with you.
Parks, be with me. I want to see what this guy. I want to
sound like
this
Ray
guy,
and Raz Skywalker.
I know. That's what I'm channeling here. Like he's not with me. He's the one guy I need to defeat Palpatine. But he's not coming. I want to see Mr. Diko Daki Daki in the Clone Wars and see what kind of Jedi he was.
I'm with
We're
you.
losing Parks.
Change the way you say it every time. No, that's all I'm laughing at. You just say his name differently every time, and yet you're being serious. It's awesome. Sorry.
So I want to
you.
see Mr. Daki in Clone Wars and Spybot. Yeah, I was like Ari. I was like, what? Because as Parks, as you were saying, we don't often lose droids in Star Wars. So when we lost Spybot and then Maul, even Maul's reaction, which makes his betrayal of Mr. Diko Daki so, I mean, 10 times just worse than it should be. But just seeing his reaction to a damn droid being like, and turning his anger back on the Inquisitors, I'm just like, dude, I love this Maul. I do. I love that version of Maul that it's like, oh shit, this dude does have a heart somewhere deep down in the shrouds of that Dathomir magic or witch magic.
Yeah.
But I mean, man, yeah. Again, Vader gets involved, things are gonna hit the fan.
Yeah, no, for sure. And jumping back to Lawson for a sec, I think something that really, and I think they're doing the right thing here. It kind of frustrates me that, you know, let's be real, he's coming back from the dead almost, because he did. I think he got shot in the heart, but you know, he will be back. But I love what it does from a storytelling perspective with Riley, because Riley will go stay with his mum, you'd assume, after this experience, who is an Imperial. He's probably going to be, there's going to be that dynamic where he's telling his mum, like, I'm telling you, mum, the Empire is horrible. Why do you work for them? So I'm looking forward to that sort of dynamic there. I think that will be a strong point of season 2. And this is just a side note, but I love that in a story about Maul, like, we get this story about a police sheriff and all this stuff. So Parks, what's your thoughts on what I just said there about Riley's potential story in season 2, going to stay with his mum? Also, Shane, before you answer that, Lawson did see Maul push Darky into Vader, so I definitely think he survives so that he can tell Devin that Maul let Darky die.
Aha, Parks,
there you go.
Got you.
Well, no, it doesn't change my points at all. Whenever they show it, oh, you see, I'm throwing in Rebels right now. Oh, you see, this loss is actually a victory for us in the long run. But no, I mean, to pick at something, piggyback off something very general you said there to start off with here about just the side characters in this show, all the characters other than Maul. Yeah, I was never once like disappointed when we cut away from Maul or cut back to them. I was so invested in every character in the show. And I mean, again, just this show is so phenomenally written. I think that's something we will hopefully, the visuals, the sound, all that, incredible, so artistic. But I think as time goes on, we're gonna go, man, that show is also really well written. Yeah, with Riley's an interesting one because he feels a little bit like a wallflower to me in this season, and that like there's so many directions he could go in, especially after experiencing such like a trauma. What is Mike laughing at?
No, I'm sorry. I almost choked on my drink. You're okay.
Okay. Yeah. I too laugh when I choke on my drink. But there's so many directions he can go in because he's just experienced some of those traumatizing stuff in his life in the last week, you know? And I don't know, you know, he's spent time with the Jedi, but he's probably about to spend a lot of time with Maul. And, you know, his mom is with the Empire, but his dad also just sacrificed his life to save him. So honestly, there's just tons of potential that I'm like, okay, like, because I didn't get a lot from Riley this season, just that he is here, and we've knowing that his dad sacrificed his life, but may not be dead. We've set him off on like a really interesting journey, and I just want to see where that goes. And again, I would be excited by whatever direction that goes in. If it goes back to the mom, I can also see the another version of what you're talking about, Ari, where I don't know, she gets him to think Imperial because maybe there's a way where after experiencing all this, he's even more afraid. Where he's like, I don't want this to happen again. And she goes, you know, the Empire's trying to keep everyone safe. And he's like, are they? And she's like, yeah, look at this. And So there's different ways, and then that would create an interesting reunion for those two characters, where it's like, oh no, you converted our son. So yeah, no, really cool way to set up a character for just future potential.
I almost feel like the fact that they stated that she works at some job on Coruscant, in Coruscant.
Oh,
I feel like that kind of opens the door of them going to said Coruscant and maybe having some interaction there with how the Empire is like on Capitol grounds, and maybe seeing, I don't know, not Palpatine perchance yet, but maybe just getting an up close look at what the heart of the Empire looks like. I don't know. I definitely see. I mean, they showed us the hologram of the mom in that one message in episode 4 or 5. So I'm just like, definitely, I think we'll definitely see her down the line. I think Lawson lives. I think what Shane said there is brilliant. Yeah, I guess Lawson did see that, so Lawson could, potentially let Devin know. And I felt like, I don't know, I feel like Lawson and Devin were connected in a way, and maybe obviously Lawson worked a little bit more with Daki since they were like the adults, and like the kids, Riley and Devin worked together. But I feel like Lawson might come back and you talk some sense into Devin being like, that's not what your master would have wanted. I barely knew him, and you're just doing the opposite of what it is to honor his legacy. He would have wanted you to do it in this regard, in that way. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I feel like, I think I don't know. I feel like the writing in the show has been great. I don't think it's like the Andor of Star Wars animation. I don't think it's like phenomenal, but I'm just like, yeah, this is damn great. Like, this is awesome. But I really feel that I might be speaking those tunes next season with all the things that they got lined up. I really think that I'm gonna, if they do it right, I'm going to be like, this is the Andor of Star Wars animation. This is like phenomenal writing. I think I'm going to be singing those tunes next season for sure. I mean, they just have a lot of great potential. I saw people complaining about Dryden Voss, that it sounded nothing like Paul Bettany. Do you, Ari, feel like people are speaking truth to that, or did you not care?
Yeah, I mean, recasting in Star Wars, it's always difficult. I'm going to make an assumption that Paul Bettany was probably too expensive for this show.
No, he's working on Vision Quest.
I don't know what that is, but
Ari will find out when we do the Vision Quest casts, Mike.
He's gonna watch one episode from the season.
Yeah. What did you think about the riot happening in this one episode of Vision Quest out of nowhere? Yeah.
Well, you've thrown me for a sec. It's one of those things. Like in Clone Wars, we didn't have the same voice for Obi-Wan or Anakin, and we just get used to these things. It's definitely like frustrating. You want it to be that same voice, and you want that consistency, but you just got to go back to Andor season 2. We had Bail Organa recast, which again, it's like, damn, I wish Jimmy Smits was playing him there, but you just kind of get used to it, and it's not really something we can control in the end. It was good enough. He looked fine. The voice sounded, probably wasn't as close as I would have liked it, but I thought, I'm living with it. But that's interesting because, yeah.
And I was just gonna say, you know what? This is just a year after Order 66, so we still have 5 years to go until Solo. So this is more of a younger.
I think it's more like 10, 12.
Oh wait, you're right. No, you're right. 10. I'm thinking about the prologue of Solo. My fault. So you're right. This is kind of a younger Dryden Voss that we're dealing with. So he's not going to sound exactly how he did in the movie. If that's the thought that's going to put some comfort into people's minds.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think to kind of dive into Dryden Voss, because we haven't spoken about him at all, and this sort of is a conversation. I guess we're talking about season 2 almost now, but he comes in. He's obviously going to be. We knew he was going to be part of the show eventually. Season 2, I think he will play a part in. Are we going to get sort of a time jump there? And I guess Parks, I'll throw this one to you. I'm trying to wean Vario into this question because I just love that guy so much.
He's so good.
And when Lawson says in episode 9, he's like, Vario, I just don't know how you're still alive. I was like, honestly, that's the entire audience like thinking that.
That was a great impression of Lawson, by the way. Just did that.
Was it? Oh god, I don't want to
You
steal
had the
Mike's
right
thunder.
rasp
He's the
and the slight
Lawson
accent.
impersonator on this show.
Keep dreaming, Mike.
But well, anyway, what do you think the future holds for Dryden Voss in this show? And yeah, let's throw Vario in there. What's the criminal empire building going to look like in season 2?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're really going to get into brass tacks, so to speak, with season 2, with, as you say, the empire building. To talk about Vario really quickly, like, shout out to Star Wars Explained as always for a billion reasons. But on one of their recent podcasts, they talked like, I love the comparison Alex made to Vario as this cockroach type character where they just can't die. And I'm like, I love that. Like that is, and you need a character like that in this show where you have, you know, Machiavellian Shakespeare-esque characters like Maul running around talking about, you know, his grand intentions. You need a guy like Vario to undercut stuff. But also not a guy who's, you know, gonna be super silly. He's just, by nature of who he is just a fun character. So really love him, and I hope he goes all the way. I want to, and to that extent, I want to hopefully one day feel about Vario the way I felt about some of the characters who died in this episode here at the start, where the inevitable.
Saying you wouldn't have felt that way in this episode?
I think I would have
been shattered if we lost Vario.
But now we're doubling down for the future, and it's gonna be devastating.
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But no, I mean, you know, it's interesting because Solo is not a Star Wars movie I have that much like exposure with. Like I've seen it all the way through once, and that's it.
What?
Dryden, yeah, I know. I'm every week. I'm like, not every week, but at least once a year. I'm like, I should watch that. It's been a long
Wisconsin,
time.
We're watching Solo.
I'm so down. I'm so down.
Yeah.
Y'all, we're going to Wisconsin. We're watching Solo. Tune in. But
we'll just be thinking, what?
Everyone here is invited. We'll figure it out. We will figure it out.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. No,
Don't show up. We're gonna call the police.
Dryden Voss, I mean, he definitely had the Paul Bettany isms, at least from what I could tell. So that, I think, enough, like, you did the job. But yeah, I feel like where we're going with season 2, you know, it's interesting. It feels like from the onset of the season, they communicated very clearly kind of the end point, the goal of the season for Maul, which is step 1, recruit this girl to be my apprentice. Bam, cross it off the checklist. The goal for next season, it feels like that we're kind of foreshadowing here, is step 2, become the leader of Crimson Dawn. And then that's, I think, where we're going. Yeah. Obviously, he's going to kill this guy for Dryden, but that's just going to begin this interesting, I think, political game of Maul trying to become the leader of Crimson Dawn.
I almost feel, and maybe what I'm going to say is going to totally deflate of the incredible work this season has done. But I almost feel, okay, bear with me. I almost feel that I wish we spent a little bit more time on Janix with Maul building up. I wish we kind of I like that we were thrown in just the aftermath of him getting betrayed by the local syndicates, but I almost wish that we saw him building up on Janix first before anything. I get where and why they started out that way, so we can kind of just get going with you know, the apprentice story with Devin. But I'm just like, man, I almost wish this got to breathe a little bit more. And also, I don't want to jump around here, but also one of my big things is, maybe the next season is going to answer this. Why? I don't know. Why? Okay, so the Inquisitors came in. They were kind of, I mean, listen, the way their previous iterations were in Ahsoka and the other Ahsoka show, Tales of the Jedi, useless, wasteful, whatever. It was just, I didn't care about these Inquisitors. Now it's just like, oh my god, when can I buy their Black Series action figure? Like, when can I get a poster of them? They were what do the kids say now? They were aura farming. The aura was dripping off them.
As far as I'm concerned, this whole show was an aura farming off. It was just constant.
They were Morgan. Yeah. So yeah. So it was truly spectacular. But obviously, once Vader came in, it's like, all right, you guys are gonna now become like Bantha fodder. You guys are gonna go to the side, and Vader's gonna take the prime spot.
Just real quick, I gotta say though, it shows how good this show is that Vader coming in wasn't this crazy thing that we've talked about for the last 45 minutes. We were just like, yeah, Vader was there, but all these other characters were so great, including the Inquisitors, that we're just like, yeah, he was there.
But I'm just like, and I had trepidations about Vader getting involved. Ari, if you remember, I was like,
yeah,
there's no.
I remember me predicting Vader and you saying, no, it's definitely the Emperor.
No. I was like,
be with me.
I definitely see it being Vader, but I wanted it to be Palpatine. I wanted it to then, you know what? Just
I have thoughts on this.
Let's just do Palpatine. Because it feels like Vader. I mean, Parks backed me up with his Maul Shadow Facts 2 episodes ago, and you backed me up. Don't withdraw your support right now
from a certain point of view.
Yeah, you okay. But anyway, so I was just, I don't know, I just had trepidations about Vader getting involved, but I was okay at the end of it. I was like, yeah, that was great. Vader was awesome. I felt like what was his intentions with Maul? Is it to just completely kill him? Or is it to capture him? Is it him to take it back to Palpatine? Like, what is going on? Because it changes. It changes a little bit from before, when Palpatine needed Maul, because he needed Maul as a tool to draw Mother Talzin out. Now is Palpatine just like, you know what? I just need him wiped off the galaxy. Yeah.
Parks, your thoughts?
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on everything you just said, Mike. Yeah, Vader's 100% here to kill him. I think what is like, again, this show is really just kind of, everything about it is deepening the tragedy of Maul in every possible way. I think what is so unfortunate for Maul at this point is that in the Clone Wars, Sidious had uses for Maul, draw out Mother Talzin, and the whole point being, Sidious was more afraid of Mother Talzin than Maul. Maul is just Maul threw him down the shaft. And I think now at this point, Sidious just doesn't care about Maul. He's like, dude, die. You're just complicating things. You're making a ruckus. You're disrupting my empire. Go away. And that's why Vader's here. At the same time, let's talk about the Vader, the Sidious. Could it have been the Grand Inquisitor even? The Grand Inquisitor would have been cool, but it wouldn't have been the gut punch that this finale was. And maybe Grand Inquisitors in the future of the show. I mean, there's certainly going to be more Inquisitors, but I think what was so great about it being Vader, despite the fact, Mike, that I did pull up that shadow fact that, Vader and Maul never fought in Twilight Apprentice because there was no emotional material between the two characters. I think the circumstances are different here. This is the Maul show. We're not going to be spending a sparing amount of time with Maul and have to really consider how we're spending that time. We're going to get a lot of time with Maul here, and he's going to cross paths with a lot of people. Sidious is someone that I think at this point you want to save to be the final boss of the show.
Right.
In season 4 or 5, however long we go through this, that's where I mean, in my mind at this point, feels inevitable. Maul is going to fight Sidious at some point in this show. He's going to get there. He's going to lose.
I agree.
And maybe end up on Malachor. I don't know. I'm thinking, in my head, I'm like, Malachor is the perfect endpoint for the show, but obviously that's really far.
Does Palpatine come raining down on Crimson Dawn?
No, I think, well, maybe the Empire does, but I don't think Sidious directly does it. Again, I think this is Maul building up everything he possibly can to get to Sidious, only to then get swatted away at the end. I think that's where it is.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Ringmaster. It was, and I think the thing here I really love about Vader showing up, aside from just how cool it was it has a direct connection to the Siege of Mandalore, and Maul talking to Ahsoka, being like, "Yo, your master's long been groomed to be my master's new apprentice," and Maul genuinely being like, "When that happens, it's gonna be a massive problem." And so now what we've set up is a cool thing where Maul was kind of picking up on some things, but not quite able to figure it out.
He says, "What are you?" And I was waiting for sort of to drop in his mind, or maybe as if Vader would say it himself, but
which sets up, I think, a rematch for those characters as well, where he's gonna eventually figure it out. And
I like where he said he flat out said he's not an Inquisitor, he's something more.
Yeah.
And again, that deepens the tragedy for Maul again, where it's like, I had a chance. but Ahsoka got in my way. We could have stopped this again.
Well,
you
Maul's
know?
like, I had a chance when I ran over you with my speeder in the Phantom Menace, but I
Right.
really blew that one.
But do
Yeah.
you think things change? Maybe I don't know if this happens consequential, but maybe when Maul had finally realized what he was dealing with is that when he force pushed Master Dikudaki
No.
to
Yeah, that was, you don't reckon? I reckon that was an
don't
act
think
of
so.
pure fear. He was scared. He was
Oh,
worried.
100%. But not because he knew it was Anakin.
Oh, right. But yeah, okay. Not that he knew it was Anakin, but when he like we were saying just then, he knew it was more than an Inquisitor.
Yes.
Inquisitor. He was like,
yes,
holy crap,
100%.
you go deal with this. I need to get out.
Yeah.
but also being like, I'm going to use Devin to my advantage because it's what he's been saying all season long. I'm going to use Devin to take out Sidious, to take out this empire. I can use Devin as a tool to get there.
Shane just posted something really fascinating in the chat that I like a lot. Not that it's super relevant to this show, but it's a cool thought.
I wonder if Shane says, I wonder if Vader thinks Ahsoka lived from the Venator crash if Maul lived. Maybe that last scene in Victory and Death is after this episode. Oh.
Knowing that Ahsoka went with Maul, Ahsoka went after Maul.
Right.
Vader showing up here and being like, hang on, my apprentice went after you the last time I saw her and you're alive. Could that mean she's alive? And that prompts that moment in Victory or Death.
Well, it does have to be.
It's not super relevant to this show, but it's really cool to think about.
I wonder if Vader yeah, that's right. I mean, and in that scene in the epilogue, we see Imperial stormtroopers, not these kind of in betweens.
That's
so
true.
This definitely happens like down the line for sure. So a good thought. But what I was saying was, all season long he's been saying about Devin being a tool for him and being a weapon to use against the Empire. And I feel like once he realized that Vader was not an Inquisitor, but something more, and had suspicions of maybe being closer to Sidious than the other Inquisitors, of being like, you know what, this is my moment now. I'm gonna push Daki. He can deal with Vader and die, and this is going to be the jumping point for Devin, the point of no return. I feel like that's what I finally because I was believing Maul at the beginning of the 2 episodes when Brooke was like, oh, when are we gonna betray the Jedi or something? He's like, and Maul was
Have
like,
some respect. Brooke.
yeah,
He's
have some hearts. Like, he's an old Jedi master. We can use him to escape the city, which after Daki served his purposes, it's like, all right, when is Maul gonna betray him? But then when Daki was like, we can do this together, and they were fighting so in sync, I'm like, that's not gonna happen. But as Ari was saying, it was just like this was the moment. This was the moment to go and be like, you deal with Vader. I feel like now I'm gonna go deal with Devin, and we're gonna start a new journey, and we're gonna take on Vader and Palpatine.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Great discussion points there. We've got a few things left, but I'm going to just do some personal shout outs of things that I loved in this episode, and I'll throw it to you guys to do any little things that you want to shout out. One, it's been talked about to death, but the action in this show is genuinely fantastic. That the scene where the 2 Inquisitors ran into like the acid pit room, and it was like this camera work. It was almost just like, yeah, unbelievable. So, and I get very bored in action movies when it's just explosions, this, that, and it's just like, this is a whole lot of whatever. The fights were gripping. That one shot where they were working together in sync, and like the Inquisitors come down with their 2 lightsabers, and then in sync, all 3 of the heroes like blocking with the light. Yeah, so awesome. And I mean, these 2 episodes were nonstop action. On paper, that could have been super boring, but they executed it super well. So shout out to that as well. 2 Boots. Anyone that's listened to the podcast from earlier on, I hated this droid. He was just so annoying. I understood he was necessary to push the story forward. Someone needed to call the Empire, but goddamn, he was annoying and just refused to like get out of his ways. It's like, no, there's no more time for protocols. The other side has no protocols. You got to do what you got to do anyway. I came around to him so much. The moment that really hit when it came to Lawson was when he's sacrificing himself, and Lawson saying, Two Boots, you need to take Riley to safety, and he's like, Riley Lawson, come here, and takes him and runs off. And then the shot after when they're on the ship together, and Two Boots is comforting Riley, like, man, I came around to that droid so much, so shout out to him. And he that actor, that he's a guy from the IT crowd, he also voiced the droid in my favorite episode of The Mandalorian, Chapter 6, The Prisoner. With that droid there. That's not my favorite episode. That was just
crazy tweet.
It's the episode with Shihan. Anyways, but this performance, fantastic. Two Boots. Yeah, so that's my shout outs, guys. What little things did you want to touch on before we start to wrap up?
Parks?
Yeah, I want to shout out the Force Unleashed callbacks in this episode. I mean, I was talking with a friend about this. There's a moment where Maul splits the two sabers and is fighting that way.
Oh my God.
Ross has the two.
Yes.
That was a cool moment. I mean, I mean, everything you said about the action in the show, Ari, phenomenal. There's so many ways to break it down and be like, this is why this is brilliant here. This is why this is brilliant here. Such a great use of just the visual medium with editing. I had so much criticism about the action in Bad Batch. This show was one massive apology and then some. It was just like, there's gonna be so much action that you're gonna be like sick of it, and I was never sick of it. So it was just amazing. My friend was saying like, oh, he got that from Ahsoka, and I'm like, no, Maul doesn't learn anything. They're just doing a Force Unleashed callback there with the two sabers, and it's sick. And then also the moment when it was a clip that they used to promote the episode, but when he's like destroying like the one walker when they're going into like the underground thing, he like cuts off his leg, then throws the lightsaber up, and then it explodes. Really cool. And just again, the Inquisitors in this show, I think, were such highlights. They were like, it's also befitting of what this show was. I think the Inquisitors they had for Rebels were perfect for Rebels. And for this show, they were like, we're gonna pick the two scariest Inquisitors from the entire lineup, and they're gonna be in this scary show. So awesome stuff there. And other than that, I mean, Daki is a goat. I'm really excited to see where Devin goes, and to that, I want to broach a talking point if there's time, but actually maybe it'd be better to talk about after I drop shadow facts on y'all. But I'll throw it to Mike then for his shout outs.
Sure. No, the Inquisitors from Rebels sucked. I gotta say,
remember the guy that showed up in Twilight Apprentice just for that one and then died? Love that guy.
He's the best Inquisitor.
Eighth brother. I apologize.
Eighth brother's the best one. Okay.
Secretly hates Rebels for anyone wondering.
Oh yeah, he's true.
I made an hour and a half long video.
Yeah, it's all right.
Hating on it for an hour and a half. Sorry.
I gotta say the whole toxic waste scene when they're trying to escape the city. I mean, it has to be my favorite sequence from the whole thing. I mean, you mentioned the thing with the lightsabers, but it just felt very. The action felt very Puss in Boots-esque. The way the Inquisitors came dashing in, all I could think of was Wagner Moura's character in Puss in Boots. The way he runs with his arms kind of just slung back. I was just like, oh my God, I got this, like, all these chills. And I love Daki was the only one that was like, wait, they're here. Someone's here. And I was just like, dude, you just felt the edge on your seat and also the anxiety coming in. And I love that. Yeah. Bad Batch would have all these elaborate action sequences and they would lose me. It was just visual noise. I'm like, great.
They do a wide shot from far away.
Yes. And you just
action,
see,
and then just let the shot run from 20 seconds. Which sounds cool, except I don't know. It never felt that way. To me, it always felt really static.
Yes, right. So, okay, so I was, I love the way they all work in sync. I'm a sucker when the bad guys and good guys work together. I love the Dooku episode where Dooku teams up with Anakin and Obi-Wan to escape Hondo Naka's clutches. I love that episode just because you get to see the villain in kind of almost like a different light, not necessarily a lighthearted way, but like, oh wow, like this is really awkward. Like we're on completely opposite sides of the war. We have Dooku completely on the opposite side of the spectrum than Obi-Wan and Anakin. But so it just creates a great kind of juxtaposition and whatnot. But So seeing Maul work so in sync with Devin and even being protective, like go, like you guys go and then I'll be last. I'm like, it's just that redemption sucker in me that wants like, oh Maul, like dude, you're hitting the right beats here. Like you just got to do a little bit more reflecting and we can get there. But just in those moments, I'm like, dude, that's so sick. But yeah, all the Inquisitor action was great. The Walker action was amazing, fantastic. There's so much that happened in these 2 episodes that I completely forgot about the lightsaber splitting up, which amazing. So I mean, yeah, I think we covered everything from this episode. Again, Vader not say. Oh wait, let me address Ringmaster, which Ryan. Let me address his comment here. He says, "I'm not exactly a huge sucker for continuity, but I did notice that Dryden Voss wasn't the head of Crimson Dawn in the show, even though he was shown to be the leader at the end of the Clone Wars." I was thinking about this because his hologram is shown at the end of Clone Wars when Maul is there talking to the different syndicates to go into hiding because the galaxy was about to change. Is it wrong for me to think that maybe the guy at the top of Crimson Dawn kind of just sent Dryden Voss as like a representative for
it's
him?
like,
Easily,
it's like putting the vice president on the call. It's like,
yeah.
I mean, the current vice president would only go if there was a couch to have sex with, but like, it's not that it's not that uncommon that you'd send the second in command to a little group call.
This is why we told Ari to watch that Daredevil.
That's a crazy swerve,
by the way. Yeah,
I approve of it, but that was a crazy swerve.
Yeah. Anyway, Vario, right?
Yeah, man.
So good.
Yeah, thank you. Ryan.
Okay, pivoting now to the final segment of the show. Parks, before we jump into Shadow Facts, it's going to be our last Shadow Facts for Maul Season 1. Can we expect to see a little Artor video about Maul Shadow Lord?
You know, I just put out an Artor monthly today on my Patreon. You can go read it for free at patreon.com/Artor Presents, where I talked about this. And yes, I would love to make a video on Maul Shadow Lord. I don't know how or when I have the time right now to do it, but I am trying to find the time to do it. I would love to talk about this first season on Artor in some capacity. So yeah,
we love that. All right, hit us. Shadow Facts Volume 4. We didn't get the chance to do it last week, so here we go. Take it away.
Okay, y'all. Hello, Stars Exchange audience. Welcome to your live edition of Maul Shadow Facts, your behind-the-scenes segment exclusive to the Stars Exchange podcast. Now, let me show you the meaning of haste. By the way, does anyone know what that means?
No, I was hoping to ask you on this very episode.
So this is a reference to Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. There is I knew, yeah, that's exactly why in the first time I was like, they're not going to get it. They don't watch that. They don't watch Peak. Am I right, audience? Shadowfax is the name of Gandalf's horse in the third movie. And it's before he takes off to Minas Tirith to let the people there know that Sauron's forces are coming. The horse's name is Shadowfax. And he goes, "Come now, Shadowfax, show me the meaning of haste," which is just the coolest shit ever. Where he's like, "I need you to go fast, so show me the meaning of haste." Anyway, let's move on. So we've talked about Maul in the Clone Wars. We've talked about Maul in Rebels. We talked about Maul in the Phantom Menace. What is there left to talk about, you might be wondering? Well, as it turns out, it's all the times. It's the big time Maul almost appeared in Star Wars, but didn't. And the one time he did appear in Star Wars, but we were all scratching our heads about it. To start with the latter there, I'm of course talking about Solo, a Star Wars story, and the story behind why Maul appeared in that film. Now, the screenwriter of the film, Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote it with his son, John Kasdan, originally in the first draft of the script, wrote the leader of Crimson Dawn as this guy named the Kaiser. We don't know much about him, just that he's the Kaiser. He's the leader of the Crimson Dawn. By the time they got to the final draft and it got to shooting, they changed it to Maul. And I imagine that was probably something that occurred because they talked to the Lucasfilm story group and they were like, yo, we could connect the dots a little bit more here, especially now that we have a timeline for how long Maul lives because of Rebels. However, Maul's name was not in the final script in order to protect from potential leaks. They didn't want anyone knowing that Maul was actually in the movie. And so that's a really cool thing. Oh, Ari dipped. That's fine. You'll get to hear these.
It's just Dryden Voss interrupting him.
Dryden Voss is interrupting us, which, of course, shout out to them for protecting audiences from leaks. It certainly didn't stop my one friend on Steam from telling me that Maul is in the movie
Nice.
a week before I had seen it. So that was pretty awesome to them. Welcome back, Ari.
I've been listening. It's just been my
fantastic. So yeah, Maul being in the movie got spoiled for me, basically. Anyway, moving on from that, let's pivot. I want to talk about the other half of the shadow facts here. The scuttlebutt of Maul in the sequel trilogy. Now, famously, when Disney sold Star Wars to Disney, Lucasfilm to Disney, he also gave them essentially outlines for episode 7, 8, 9. This was the George Lucas cut. And in them, Maul was basically this emperor-like figure. He ruled this massive criminal empire. They were kind of like the main force in the galaxy. And Darth Talon was his apprentice. And Talon was going to be the main villain of the trilogy, essentially, like the Darth Vader-like figure. And the whole idea here was Talon was basically going to seduce the son of Han Solo to the dark side. But where that eventually led when they actually sat down and hatched out the story was, why don't, instead of having a character seduce Han Solo's son to the dark side, why don't we just make Han Solo's son the person using the dark side? And that's what led to Kylo Ren. So there's a direct line from Darth Talon to Kylo Ren in that way. Really cool. And then the last bit here, because it circles once back again on Talon, I did a little bit of digging into a little Star Wars video game that some of y'all might remember, because we only learned about it after LucasArts shut down. They were making a Maul video game. I don't know if you guys ever remember seeing footage of this, but basically, this was made by Red Fly Studios, who had done the Wii version of like The Force Unleashed, and LucasArts asked them to do a sort of Sith game. And so they gave them a title of Battle of the Sith Lords. And very quickly after that, Red Fly Studios was like, okay, let's make it about Maul. And it's going to be about Maul's origin story. Then at some point, George Lucas sat down with Red Fly Studios. This was like in 2011, I think, and was like, why don't you put Darth Talon in the game? And because Maul is such a big fan of Darth Talon, he's like, dude, I don't know, she's pretty hot. And they were like, yo, that's cool, George, but like Darth Talon canonically exists like several decades after Maul. And so he was like, well, why don't you make Maul then, the Maul in this video game, a clone of Maul or the descendant of Maul, and then they can team up and be with Talon. So George Lucas was very gung-ho on this Talon character, which we may see come to life in this show, which is what the talking point I was hinting at earlier. I don't know if we have time to actually go into it, but yeah. That concludes Volume 4 of Maul Shadow Facts, and hopefully I will be back next season to talk about more Shadow Facts about Maul. I'll be digging them up from somewhere. I don't know where, but we'll find them. So yeah, thank you for tagging along for Shadow Facts.
No, Parks, thank you so much for your segments. They've been very fruitful. In my case, they've been very supportive in my conversation. So I appreciate your energy towards them. And honestly, like first one I watched, or Ari and I watched before because we were like, okay, what's Maul Shadow Facts? But then we got we were just watching them on the air for the first time. So that was great. I'm sorry, by the way. It seems like Crimson Empire is hacking into Ari's computer, so he's getting his stuff sorted.
Dang.
But sorry, we'll continue the conversation. Now, where did Darth Talon originate? Is she from the Old Republic?
Talon is from the Star Wars Legacy comics, which came out in like the mid to late 2000s. And she was like a Sith assassin who worked for Darth Krayt, who was kind of leading this order of the Sith. Basically, he established a new Sith order like 50 years after the movies or whatever.
Sure.
And so Talon was like this Sith assassin who frequently clashed with like the children, like the Skywalkers and the Solo children. And yeah, she was a very beloved character. Obviously, her character design, probably played a lot into that. But yeah, no, she's not a character we've ever really explored the backstory of. And when I think about when they announced this show, saying what we're talking about, exploring some unused ideas about George Lucas's outlines for the sequel trilogy, I think that's what they're doing with Devon. She might not get the title of Darth, but maybe somewhere along the way she becomes Talon. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't see them going that route of, hey, I'm Darth Maul, you're Darth Talon.
Right, because he's already apprehensive about the Darth title.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because by the time he is a Maul, he's proud to say, formerly Darth, now just Maul. And I love that. It's like sick. So maybe we see a little bit of that journey next season of him, just being like, well, I'm no longer Darth. I'm no longer a Sith Lord, the conventional type, but I am still a heavy Darksider, and I will continue on that path. So maybe we'll see that next season. But I do want them to, if anything, I don't need things spoon fed, but I just need them to connect the dots here. How you were saying about connecting the dots from Clone Wars to Rebels, but I need them to connect the dots at the end with, where does Maul get that Inquisitor lightsaber? Does he end up killing one of the Inquisitors? Well, we know Merrick ends up dying in Ahsoka, but it seems like because of the witch magic going on, maybe he
maybe died already. Yeah.
Which I would love if we get to see that in season 2. But I hope that it was cool that Vader didn't have any dialogue in these 2 episodes. But there's a part of me that I'm like, I did want some dialogue. And I think that's where almost the underwhelming part came in, where I'm like,
I feel you.
Even Fortnite Vader said more lines when you got to fight him in the game or use him as an ally. He gave you more. Now, I don't want them to use AI at all. Like
that's what I was going to say.
But it's like, dude, get the guy from Battlefront. He voices a great Vader.
Plenty of people you can reach out to.
Yeah. There's plenty of artists that you can get out there to voice Vader 100%. And it's not going to sound as great as Vader did in Rebels, but still, no one beats the original. But the guy in Battlefront is great. And also in Jedi Survivor, he was great as the voice too.
Yeah.
So I hope they scrap the whole AI stuff. I hated that stuff in Kenobi when they used the AI voice. That was awful.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it just besides it sounding weird and clunky, I just overall morally it's just like, dude, pay people. Why are we 100%. Letting computers take over? But anyway, so I hope they connect the Inquisitor lightsaber and tell us how they got that. And I really hope that they show us why Maul. I hope the series ends in that regard of Maul leaving Crimson Empire. Maybe it's like an epilogue scene or something, or maybe it's, I don't know, because I mean it is a big gap in the timeline, but maybe like, hey, maybe Maul Shadow Lord is 3 seasons, and then we're gonna get Maul Crimson Lord or something. So I don't know, but I do want to see that. I want to see maybe it's a story they'll tell in 10 years from now, but I want to see that jump from criminal empire Maul to why is he at a Sith temple? What is he looking for? What motivated him to be on the run? Did he hear about the heroics of Kanan and Ezra and he want to inflict himself into conflict? What made him brief? Because here's the thing with Maul in this time period right now, or in this little snippet that we have of him. He's not concentrated on revenge on Kenobi. So,
no.
Like you said, maybe the end point is Palpatine fighting Palpatine, being like,
100%.
That is an evil that I cannot fight, that I cannot overtake. I'm gonna go back to having revenge on Kenobi because he's you know what? It's
well, he doesn't know. He probably right now assumes Obi-Wan's dead.
Well, yes, true. But I feel like right now he's just so hyper fixated on Palpatine.
And don't get me wrong, like he doesn't know that he's alive until Rebels, right?
Yes, because he has this whole big moment of like he lives. But maybe he has this moment of like, oh my, hey, you know what, Palpatine? He's just a dark side that I can't beat. I'm going to focus my energy on something that I can have revenge on, and that's Kenobi. You know what? I can't be Palpatine. Let me go beat Kenobi. I can have revenge on him.
I think the key to that relationship really comes back to Maul in the Clone Wars, and that Maul has not yet been radicalized against Sidious yet. That when Sidious shows up on Mandalore at the end of season 5 or whatever, at the end of that arc, he's bowing down to him. He's like, "Hey, Master, I did all this for you. Don't worry." That we're not dealing with that Maul anymore. This Maul this Maul is woke. He's like, well, not in that sense, but he's like he's woken up. And if he was woke too, I think that's cool. But like, I think Maul, credit where credit's due, realizes that the bigger problem was never Kenobi. It was always Sidious for destroying his life.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you guys hear me? Am I back?
Yes. Yeah.
Welcome
Yes,
back.
okay. I've been listening in. I've just been having some troubles connecting my camera for whatever reason. But
we were blaming Crimson Dawn. You were speaking badly about them and
Or his
current leader wants.
No, I've been listening to the conversation. Riveting stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think? Are they? How do you think about the Talon thing, Ari?
About the shadow fact, or just like Devin?
I mean, the shadow fact I thought hopefully would, because George Lucas was trying to get Talon with Maul for a while, to the point that he was like, she's going to be the main villain of the sequel trilogy. So I'm just wondering if how serious we're going to go about that here.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, love the shadow fact, and shout out to you for giving us these more content throughout our pods. We appreciate that. But yeah, no, absolutely. I don't know. I think this is definitely a great vessel to tell that story in. And I think, like, we now know the end point of Maul. So it's like, this is a great story. They're going to tell it. I think they're going to do it in a good way. So I'm down for that. Like the details of, is this talent? Is it that? I'm not too concerned about that. Yeah, I'm fine to have the conversation, but I'm more just like, just give us a good story. And if that's where, if you call it talent,
well-written character.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. But
100%.
We've been going for just over an hour now. So any last things you guys want to shout out before we wrap it up here? I'm going to shout something out. And I'll let Mike talk to this because it's really his thing. But the Star Wars exchange was mentioned on the news yesterday in Chicago. The crazy stuff. Mike, this is the floor is yours. Explain to us how this occurred.
Well, a local station, like the top watched one here, like the second one, the most local one, because we have ABC. Parks has an ABC out there. Ari has an ABC out there. But this is more of a local station, WGN, but whatever. But they reached out for me and Ari to come on the show to do a segment for Star Wars Day, and I'm like, well, unfortunately, if you've been watching the show, Ari lives in Australia and I live in Chicago. But I don't know how they found us. But I'm like, that's not going to work unless we video Ari in at like 4 a.m. his time. But we ended up reaching kind of just a midway point where it's just like we compromised of like, hey, I'm not kind of willing to do this without Ari, but I also want to do it. And so they covered our Star Wars Day celebrations, which, by the way, my school, for the first time ever, had a Star Wars Day dress down for May 4th yesterday. So that was pretty epic. And then we sent all the footage and recordings to the news station, and they put us on some airtime and shouted me out, shouted my class out, and it was just surreal hearing my name on the news and hearing the Star Wars exchange being the first time ever mentioned on Chicago airwaves. So
that's cool.
If you're watching around 1:30 yesterday on WGN, if you're in the Chicago area, you might have seen me and you might have heard the Star Wars exchange referenced on the air.
And the clip's on your Instagram, right?
Yeah, I posted the whole clip on my all_Star Wars Instagram if you want to see it. But that was crazy. I want to post it on the pod page too, but I was logged out by accident, so I need to log back in. But it was just insane, just cool, surreal stuff. Yesterday was like the best Star Wars Day ever. Like seeing all the kids dressed up in their Baby Yoda shirts, or I saw a lot of like Luke shirts. I saw one Ahsoka. I just saw all these variations, and I was just like, love that. And some kids dressed up in costumes. Some little girl had like Leia buns, which was great. I'm just like, oh man, this is so cool. And it just felt like on the announcements, the principal was like, it's Mr. Rivera's like favorite day of the year, and all the kids were just so excited about it. And we got the whole school outside for like a photo op, and it was surreal. I'm getting chills talking about it. It was just unbelievable. Best Star Wars Day ever. And I mean, all Star Wars made it onto the WGN on a news station, and so the Star Wars exchange here. So awesome. I want to thank everybody for the support. As WGN said, we publish weekly episodes, so please stay tuned as we cover. It's just Star Wars month. I told the kids I had every hour of the day planned with all Star Wars activities. Like, we were doing all these like different things, partner work. We were doing like, let's draw Star Wars. Everybody was drawing Baby Yoda. We were trying blue milk for the first time. It was I already had it, but they were trying it. And like, is that goat milk? Like, what is that? Why does it look spoiled? Why is it all junky? It was just so funny. And I'm like, guys, it's just regular milk. with some vanilla in it. But they all tried it and they loved it. And it was surreal day. And we ended the day with a Mandalorian episode 2, the child watch party, and we had snacks. And I think I turned some kids into Star Wars fans, lifelong Star Wars fans. So
wow,
Star Wars has always been about community, about family, and about belonging. So I felt like that was just so present yesterday. And I'm just, Star Wars is awesome, man. And I was reminded of it yesterday, and I just went home and I was like, best Star Wars day ever. So yeah, and we continue the celebrations here on the Star Wars Exchange all month long.
Ari, you're muted.
Awesome moment. We love that. I was never muted. I was just talking in silence.
And I just said, Ari, you're muted for some reason.
No, we love that. That's awesome stuff. And hey, new episodes weekly. There will be for a bit, because for the few people watching this, we're doing a Mandalorian revisited series, building up to the Mandalorian and Grogu. So that's going to be some good fun. So can't wait for that. But on that note, that kind of wraps up the Maul Shadow Lord discussion, and I get the Maul Shadow Lord coverage on the channel. It's been a great fun 5 weeks, and I think that we're going to get more of it. I reckon at Celebration next year, I think they might premiere season 2 there. So we'll
if we got this annually, oh my God, that would be amazing. Yeah. I never need another Tales of series again. Just give me this.
Oh, I'm done. I'm done with
Tales.
I'm done with Tales.
It's fine,
and that crap right
this
now.
This is a whole other podcast.
This is better.
Get that out of my face.
If it's this or Tales, I'll take this for sure. But I love Tales as well. But anyways, we'll talk about that another time. But Parks, where can the good people find you across the social web?
Yeah, you can find me at Parks Herman on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Twitch. I'm, of course, Artur on YouTube, where I publish all kinds of video essays. I have a Daredevil video coming up. And speaking of Daredevil, in case you didn't know, Mike and I have been talking all about Daredevil Born Again Season 2 over on my new personal channel, youtube.com/Parks Harmon, just like all my other URLs. Right after this, Mike and I are going to record. No, we're going to do that tomorrow probably. But Mike and I will be back to talk about the finale of Daredevil tomorrow, Born Again Season 2. So thank you for having me, guys. I love doing this. And this is one of my favorite lives I've done with you yet. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for keeping up with tradition as always. And Parks and I were talking about the Tales series earlier, and we were saying that the theme song that they have at the beginning where it's like, like this.
Were we talking?
Yeah, we were. And I told Parks, I'm like, this should be the new intro, because the show is like just this quality of good.
Denied, vetoed. Sorry.
And then just have a fart sound, because that's all it is. It's just a big waste of time.
But it would fit the vibe of the podcast better, but no, it shouldn't be that. It should not be that. You have to aspire to be greater, Mike.
Thank you. But we'll have that conversation some other time of the Tales of series, and what a big joke it is. But I do want to say,
his words, not mine.
What a beautiful piece of
our words.
Ouch.
No. Tales is okay, but
it'll be a solo podcast tomorrow, Mike. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Of Parks watching Solo for the second time ever. I do want to say, please watch Parks and I. We still have some unfinished business with the Daredevil run. What a sad week. It felt like we were living in bliss, watching Maul Shadow Lord and then jumping to Daredevil, and now it just ends, and all in 1 week. It's just like, great, okay, you guys can have planned this better, Disney Plus. Thank you so much. We're gonna be there talking about the finale, and Maul Shadow Lord, great stuff. I can't wait to do an episode in a couple of years' time, or even maybe sometime before season 2, and just do like just a revisiting series of just kind of talking about it, all that, and maybe that comic series. I'm season or issue 3 hasn't come out yet, but I've been reading the issues. I want to see if it changes perspectives at all of the show. So we'll see if the comic turns out to be any good in the end, and maybe it's worth talking on a separate pod. But also want to shout out, Ari and I didn't mention this, but a couple episodes ago, and Parks brought up to my attention as well, that we reached 100 episodes on the Star Wars Exchange.
I was gonna do this in the next episode, but we can do it now.
I just want a footnote. I mean, might as well. It's like Star Wars Day. I mean, Star Wars Day continued and mentioned about the news, and we also made 100 episodes together.
Yeah,
which is insane.
Woo!
So
we'll
mention it.
That that border.
Yeah.
We'll have a bigger conversation about that probably in one of our Mando eps. But yeah, we've crossed the line.
So anyways, it's just Star Wars month, baby, and so the celebration continues all month long. And next, our attention's gonna be on the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So I'm hyped. We have a Star Wars movie dropping this month. Like, let's get hyped for sure. You can find me all_Star Wars talking about Mando and Grogu. So hyped for that. And yeah, you'll see whenever I'm having the Burger King Mando bounty meal that Parks can't eat because he's allergic to good food. But that's beside the point. All right, where can the good people find you?
At Star Wars_exchange over on Instagram, but most importantly, subscribe to this YouTube channel.
Subscribe to the Stars Exchange. You can
Amen.
sound like that. Put that at the end of every podcast now.
Well, all right.
Well,
on that note, Ari.
Yep. On that note, may the force be with everyone, and we will talk very soon.
Bye everyone. Don't stab any friends.